Hello viewers, welcome to YouVolve, the database channel to learn and practice Oracle and other databases. In this tutorial, I am going to demonstrate how to manually install and upgrade an OEM 13c agent. This topic will have two parts. In the part 1, we will install an OEM 13c agent manually on a 64-bit Oracle Linux host, and in the part 2, we will upgrade an OEM 13c agent manually in a 64-bit Oracle Linux host. So there are more than one method of installing or upgrading an OEM agent. You can initiate it from the OEM server using emcli command. You can use OEM GUI to install an agent on a new host. You can use an agent gold image to mass deploy an agent on servers, or using a downloaded copy of the agent software to deploy it on the target servers. I have a full series on OEM 13.5 named Mastering OEM, covering many important topics for the DBS. You can watch the series using the link provided in the description of this video below. So I am going to take the option number 4 for install and upgrade of the OEM agent, which will involve full manual activities. Manual installation of the agent software has a prerequisite which is quite obvious. That is, the OEM software library must have the agent software you are trying to install or upgrade. I assume you already have an up-to-date software library which has the required agent software already downloaded from Oracle support. If not, you can watch my other video on how to update the OEM software library online or manually in offline mode. Once the prerequisite is met, you can proceed with the installation steps. So, manual installation of the agent software involves multiple steps as I am describing below. Number 1, download the agent software to a local file system in the server. Transfer the agent software to the target host. Install the agent software in the target host. Configure the agent software in the target host. Discover and promote targets in the target host. Please note that all the commands that I am using in this demo are available in a shared document in my Google Drive. You can access and copy them using the link in the description of this video below. Now, let's start with downloading the agent software to a local file system in the OEM server. So I logged into my OEM server named admin server, where my OEM 13.5 system has been installed on a 64-bit Oracle Linux platform. I established an SSH session using Oracle user, who is the owner of all Oracle installations on the server. First, let's set the environment so that I don't have to provide the full path of the binaries that belongs to the middleware or OEM home. I'm copying and pasting the commands to avoid typing mistakes and to save time. So the first command that we are going to use is the emcli login minus username equals sysman. It will ask for the password, and we logged into the OEM system using Enterprise Manager command line interface prompt, that is emcli. Then we will do an emcli sync, and this is to bring the OEM configuration and the repository database into sync so nothing is missed out or mismatched. Then we will list out all the agent softwares available in our OEM software library using the emcli get supported platforms command. This will take a couple of seconds to give us the output, and we can see that it has given us a list of 3 supported platforms which are currently available in the software library. That is, the first one with the version 13.5 for the platform Linux 64-bit, the second one with the 13.4 and the platform is again Linux 64-bit, and the third one is 13.5 and the platform is Microsoft Windows 64-bit. You may get a different list of available softwares depending on your environment. Now I will select this second one, that is the agent 13.4 for the 64-bit Linux platform. The reason why I am selecting a 13.4 agent is so I can show you in the next part how to manually upgrade a 13.4 agent to the version 13.5. Also, the steps for manually installing the 13.4 or 13.5 agents are the same. Next, we will download the agent software in the OMS host to a local file system. So I am going to create a new folder under the temp directory or temp file system with this name agent installation 13.4, and then we will export the unzip utility location to an environment variable called unzip_lock, which is pointing to the unzip utility which is available under the middleware home. This is very important to include the unzip utility along with the installables. You should always take the unzip utility that is available under the middleware home or OMS home only to avoid any kind of version conflicts. So based on your OEM or middleware home location, your unzip utility location can be different. Make sure that you put the correct path in this unzip_lock environment variable that points to the unzip utility. Now let's clear the screen to make some room for the main command to download the agent software to the directory under our temp file system that we just created. I'll just paste the command, then I'll explain it. That is emcli get agent image minus destination equals to the directory that we created minus platform that equals to the Linux x86 64-bit. You have to copy the exact string from the get supported platform output, and the version that I mentioned that I'm going to download the 13.4 agent only, and I'm specifying it here. That also has to be exactly the same, and you have to copy it from the get supported platform output. Then the -zip_lock, this particular parameter points to the location of the zip utility which is available under the middleware home or the OEM home. So in your environment, this path may be different depending on how you have installed the OEM. So once everything is validated, press enter, and it will give us some details about how much space is there in the target location, that is 15 gigs available and required only 1 gigs, and the log file location for the activity. I'll pause the video and I'll come back once this download is completed. So after around 2 minutes, the agent software download has been successfully completed. Now let's take a look at the contents of the directory, and we see that this particular zip file has been created under that location, which is close to 1 gigs in size. Next, we will transfer this zip archive to our target server named VM Linux 1, which is also a virtual machine. So I am going to establish an SSH session to this particular server also as Oracle user, who is the owner of all Oracle installations in the server. This server has a few database components such as 2 database instances and 2 listeners, etc. And this one also has the Oracle Linux 7.9 64-bit installed. Now we are going to transfer the image of the agent software from the OMS host to the target host, that is VM Linux 1. And just need to make sure that the file system where you are going to install the agent software has at least 2 gigs of free space, because the agent itself is going to take around 1 gig installation size. And we see that the U001 file system has around 2.3 gigs free, and we are going to use this file system for our installation. The next thing is we need to see how much free space we have in the temp location, because we are going to use it as the destination while transferring the agent zip archive. So we see that it has around 13 gigs free, so we are good. Now I'm going to go back to the OMS host, and from there we are going to do an SCP of the agent software. So let's go to the temporary directory that we created, do an lslrt, and this is the zip file that we are going to transfer using SCP. So SCP, the zip file, and we'll use the same Oracle user to transfer it to the host name VM Linux 1, and that will be under the temp directory. Yes, for the confirmation, and the password for the Oracle user. This should be very fast because these are all my local VMs, and the transfer has been completed. Now let's go back to our target server named VM Linux 1, go to the temp directory, and under that we have the zip archive, and we are going to unzip it to a directory with the -d parameter there, and we'll keep a name like agnt 13.4 installer. So it will be unzipped under this particular directory under the temp file system, and the zip file has been extracted or unzipped. Now let's go to the directory where we have the installables, and we see all these extracted files and folders. And if you see, the zip and the unzip utility is also included in the installables, and this is what the installer is actually going to use while doing the agent installation. So to make sure that it is going to use only the unzip utility, which is included along with the installables, let's see which unzip is by default it is going to take. And we see that the unzip utility by default it is taking is the operating system unzip utility under the user bin directory, and we don't want to use that. So to avoid using the default unzip utility and to use only the one that is included along with the installables, we have to set another environment variable named unzip_lock in the target environment. So we will simply put export unzip lock, and that is going to point to this location, and under that this unzip utility. Next we are going to create the target directory or the agent base where the OEM 13.4 agent will be installed. So that will be under U001 Oracle directory. So I am going to create a directory using make directory command -p U001 Oracle agent 13c, which is going to be the agent base. Now let's clear the screen again so that we can make some room for the main command. First, let's do an ls-lrt again, and this agent deploy.sh is the script that we are going to use to deploy the agent. So I'm pasting the command here, and I'll explain all the terms there. First of all, this agent deploy.sh, this is the script that we are calling. Then the first parameter we are passing is the agent base directory. This is the directory that we just created and designated as the agent base. Then the OMS host. So this is the name of the OMS host where our OEM 13.5 system is up, and we are specifying the fully qualified domain name of the server here. Then EM upload port. If you see, this is the port where actually this agent is going to upload the data to the OEM. If you are unsure which is the port, you can take a look at the HTTPS port in the emctl status OMS details command output in the OEM server. So let's take a look. We'll go back to the admin server, and then we will use the command emctl status OMS minus details. It will ask for the password for the sysman user, and in the output we see all the required information are actually available here, along with the fully qualified name of the OEM host, that is our admin server.manash.home, and this is the port I was talking about, that is the HTTPS upload port is the one that we need to specify in the agent deploy script as a parameter, that is 4903. And if we go back there, we see that the port that we have specified is 4903. Then the agent registration password. If you are unsure about the agent registration password, you can always create a new password. Then the Oracle host name, that is this target host where the installation is being conducted, that is the vmlinux.oraexpert.org, and you have to provide the fully qualified domain name here. And the agent port, at what port the agent will be running, that also you have to specify. Usually it takes the 3872 port as default. You can provide 3872 also. I am providing here 3871. And then minus ignore prerequisite checks, because we are already providing every detail that is required for the successful installation, and it doesn't have to do any more prerequisite checks. That's why we are ignoring this. And once we press enter, the agent deployment will begin. This installation is going to take around 10 minutes. I will pause the video time to time and I will resume it whenever there is something important to be mentioned. Although I have specified all the parameters in the same line along with the agent deploy script, if you want, you can also create a response file and put the parameters first in this command into the response file. Then your command will look quite smaller, as it will only have two parameters, namely the agent base directory and the response file parameter name that will point to the response file's physical location in the server. Right now the installation is going on in quite a fast pace actually. We are almost at the end of the installation, and the agent installation has been successfully completed. As we see, couple of success messages there. So our installation has been done. And next we are going to run the root script that it is suggesting to complete the configuration. So let's copy the root script location and establish another session as root user. And I simply pasted the root script along with the path that I just copied from the other screen. And the root script has been executed. Next, we will check the status of the agent. Let's switch user to Oracle user again. And we will go to the agent home location, that is up to this part, agent underscore 13.4.0.0.0, which is under the agent base. And under that, we will go to the bin directory. And there, emctl status agent command will give us the status of the agent, its connection, upload status, etc. And we see that the agent has been successfully configured and it is currently running and ready. And the last successful upload is a couple of seconds before. So everything is working as expected. Then the next thing we are going to do to list all the plugins that has been installed along with the agent using the command emctl list plugins agent -type space all. And these are all the plugins which have been installed. And if there is anything missing, then you have to take appropriate action. Then we will execute another command to list out all the targets configured along with the agent installation using the command emctl config agent list targets. And in the list, we can see that the host target has been configured and Oracle EMD, that is nothing but the agent itself. And the third target is the Oracle home for the agent. Although I mentioned earlier, this server has a couple of other database components like database instances and listeners, etc. But those targets have not been listed here as they have not been promoted yet. Although you don't have to discover and promote other targets at this time as a part of the agent installation, I'm going to do that for the sake of completion. And so I can show you in the next part how to handle those targets during the upgrade of the agent to version 13.5. So let's go back to our OEM console. I logged in as sysman user. Then I will go to setup and under that add targets and configure auto discovery. And from there we will select the server where we just installed the agent, that is the vmlinux1.oraexpert.org, and we see that there are already a couple of targets discovered with number 7 and there are managed targets with number 3. Those are the 3 targets which we were able to see in the list targets command output. Now let's click on this 7th link there to see what all are the other discovered targets. And we see there's a listener with the name listener itself, then one Oracle home that belongs to the RDBMS installation, then one database instance, one more listener, then the third listener, then there is another agent home. It belongs to another agent that I was installing, not covered in this tutorial. And finally, one database instance named ORCL1. So let's select this database instance and the first listener to promote them as managed targets. So select the instance and click on the promote button here. And in this screen, we are able to see in the top section, we are given the option for selecting the databases, from where we will select only the one with name ORCL1. And also in the listeners section, it is giving the options. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see other listeners are also there, but we are going to select only this first one. If you want, you can go ahead and promote all the targets that you want to manage from this OEM system. Now the next thing we need to do is to, when this particular instance is selected, we click on the configure button, and there we need to specify the name of the target and connection properties. So usually we follow a convention like the database instance name followed by the server name separated by an underscore as target name. And the database system is also going to have the same convention, underscore the host name or the server name and then underscore sys. Then we need to specify the dbsnmp password. dbsnmp12345 is the password I set. And then we will click on this test connection button, and the connection test was successful. Press OK. And if there is any issue in making the connection, you have to take a look at these properties like the password and what role you are actually selecting. sysdba role is normally taken when you are connecting as sys user to the standby database instances. Then the Oracle home path, the listener machine name, that is nothing but the fully qualified domain name of the host. Then the port, connection protocol, which is TCP, and the Oracle SID. If you want, also you can specify here the preferred connection string, which is nothing but the TNS entry for this particular database instance. If you provide a preferred connection string, then the other parameters that you specify are bypassed. Now everything looks okay, and we will click on the save button. And then if you want, you can also assign it to different groups before you go to the next page. For example, I'd like to assign this particular database instance to a group which is already created. So I will click on this search button here for the target group, and from the list I will select the DB instance group, and this particular database instance target will be assigned to DB instance group. Let's scroll down, and for this listener also I have one group which is already created. So I will search for that particular group, and then the group name is prod listener. So I will select that, click on the select button. Now everything has been taken care for these two targets, and then we will click on the next button. It's just the review page, and then we will click on the save button to save all our promoted targets. And it has been successfully completed. Close this window, and then we will directly go to all the targets that we have just promoted, and we will simply put the server name, because the names that we have given to the targets has the name of the server included. So this will give us a search result that has all the targets that we just promoted, and we see that a couple of them are having a hourglass button, which is because we have just added them, and it is going to take like 1 or 2 minutes to show us the exact status. In the meantime, we see that the last two targets have been already promoted, and they are marked as green up arrows. So let's refresh this page, and they will become green any moment. Let's refresh it again, and yes, we can see all of the targets are now marked in green up arrow. So this has completed our agent installation part. In the next part, we are going to upgrade the agent from version 13.4 to 13.5 using full manual steps. So viewers, please provide your feedback in the comment section of the video, and hit the like button if you found it useful. That will mean a lot to me and help grow this channel.